All right, let's get right into it. There is a massive new set of rules coming out of the European Union, and it's about to completely change the security of pretty much every connected device we use. From the phone in your pocket to the software running our most critical systems. It's called the Cyber Resilience Act, and in this explainer, we're going to break down what it is, who it affects, and why it matters to, well, all of us.
But first, before we get to the solution, we really have to get a handle on the problem. See, the Cyber Resilience Act wasn't just created in a vacuum. Nope, it's a direct response to the fact that our digital world is, frankly, getting more and more insecure every day.
I mean, just think about your own home for a second. That smart TV, your Wi-Fi router, maybe even connected toys for your kids. We're literally surrounded by these products with digital elements. But how often do we really know how secure they are? Or, and this is the big one, how long will they even get security updates for? And this isn't just a feeling. The EU regulation itself calls out the problem with this exact phrase. There are just way too many products out there with known security flaws, and there's no single consistent rule that forces manufacturers to patch them. This creates this huge invisible risk that affects everyone, from individual consumers to the biggest companies.
So, what kind of products are we actually talking about here? Well, the law uses this super broad term, product with digital elements. And let me tell you, the definition is incredibly far-reaching. It covers everything from complex enterprise software to your smart coffee maker. Basically, if it's got software inside and it can connect to a network, even indirectly, yep, it's probably covered by this. So, now that we've set the stage with the problem, let's look at the EU's answer. This is where the Cyber Resilience Act, or the CRA for short, steps in. Think of it as a brand new rulebook for our digital age.
At its core, the CRA is all about creating one single, unified set of rules. So no more of this patchwork of different country laws or optional standards. The whole point is to set one clear, high bar for cybersecurity for any digital product that wants to be sold in the massive EU market. And the entire law is built on this one really powerful principle: secure by design. This means security can't be an afterthought anymore. You can't just bolt it on at the end. It has to be baked in from the very beginning, from the first line of code, and supported through the product's entire life. It's like safety standards for a car. You expect the brakes to work from day one, right? The CRA wants to bring that exact same logic to our digital lives. Okay, so secure by design sounds great, right? But what does it actually force companies, the tech makers, to do? Let's break down some of the very specific and very new rules they're going to have to follow.
One of the biggest, and I mean biggest, changes really just comes down to a single number: 5. For years, we've all wondered, how long will this new gadget I bought actually be safe to use? Well, the CRA is finally giving us a clear answer. From now on, manufacturers are going to be required to provide security updates for a minimum of 5 years, or for the product's expected lifetime, whichever is shorter. This is a total game changer for us as consumers. It means that the new device you buy isn't going to become a useless, insecure paperweight a year or two down the road. Companies have to plan for long-term support. Another huge requirement is something called a Software Bill of Materials, or NSBOM. The easiest way to think about this: it's like a detailed ingredients list for your software. It forces companies to know exactly what's inside their products, including all the open source bits and pieces. And that is absolutely crucial when you need to hunt down a vulnerability hiding somewhere in the supply chain. And if you want to see just how serious they are, look at this. If a company finds a vulnerability in their product that is being actively exploited, meaning bad guys are using it right now, they don't have weeks to think about it. They have 24 hours. Just 24 hours to file a report with the EU's cybersecurity agency, ENISA. That's all about moving at lightning speed to protect everyone. Of course, you can't make a change this big without making some waves. And a law this ambitious has definitely sparked some really intense debates and is going to have some serious ripple effects. And probably the single biggest point of debate was this question: how is this law going to affect the open source software community? I mean, let's be real. So much of the modern world is built on software made by volunteers and nonprofit foundations. So here's how they tried to thread that needle. The final version of the law created a brand new role: the open source steward. The idea here is to put the legal responsibility not on individual volunteer developers, but on the organizations, like foundations or companies, that are systematically supporting an open source project that's meant to be used in commercial products. It's a targeted approach,
aimed right at the money trail. And it's not just the open source world that had concerns. There's also been some significant pushback from major industries. For example, big European financial groups have been arguing that the CRA just piles on more complex, overlapping rules for them. Their whole argument is that they are already subject to another really tough law called the Digital Operational Resilience Act, or DORA. And if you look at this table, you can kind of see their point. Look at vulnerability handling, or incident reporting. Both laws have very similar goals. So the financial folks are basically saying, hey, we're already doing this stuff for DORA, and the CRA is just adding another layer of bureaucracy. All right, so that's the law and that's the debate, but what happens now? What does the road ahead actually look like? Let's wrap up with the timeline and the truly global impact of all this. Well, the clock is officially ticking. The acts went into force in December 2024, which started the transition period. The first really big deadline hits in September 2026. That's when that 24-hour vulnerability reporting rule kicks in. And then, by December 2027, the whole shebang is in full effect. Companies need to be getting ready like yesterday. And you better believe companies are paying attention, because the stakes, they are incredibly high. This quote from DevOps.com really says it all. The biggest threat isn't just a massive fine, though those are in there too. No, the real fear for a global company is being completely locked out of the entire EU market. And because of that incredible market power, this isn't really just a European law. Just like we saw with the GDPR for data privacy, the CRA is on track to become a new global benchmark. Why? Because if companies all over the world want to sell their products in Europe, they have to meet these standards. And that effectively raises the security bar for everyone, everywhere. And that leaves us with one last really big question. The European Union has drawn a brand new line in the sand for what secure means in the 21st century. The question now isn't if other countries will follow suit, but who's going to be next?